She moved here in 2017. She needed to build out her business, but what she really needed was friends.
So my kids were 1 and 3, and I was like, okay, if I'm going to have one night out a week, what do I want to do? I knew barely anybody here, and I need to meet some other moms, and this was before I owned a commercial space. So I was like, if I'm going to have one night out a week, I want to get a workout in. I want to probably have a good craft beer, and I want to meet some cool, like-minded people that want to do the same thing. So I started a beer boot camp class. So it was like, come work out in Lower Gibson's, and we'll go to Tapworks. Mm-hmm. And the first year I did it every Wednesday night, and I did a super cheap ticket. It was like $15 or $20, but it included your kombucha or your beer because I wanted people to stay.
Yeah.
And now looking back, I'm like, that was brilliant. Like, everybody stayed because, well, I already paid for the drink, so I got to stay. And then you started to build your relationships. And some of my best friends have come from that class. And I did that for 3 or 4 years, every Wednesday night.
What I love about that story is you're serving the community, but it started from an inoffensively sort of selfish place.
Yeah, and at that point, it wasn't really about money. I was like, okay, I feel like I can go out because I'm working.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Sorry, gotta go to work.
Listen, there's a dose of irony underpinning this episode, and I feel the need to call it out right away. Because it's been a pretty crazy couple of months. It's been challenging to make time and space to get back to making this little show. In fact, I was up pretty late last night getting this together. And that is where the irony lies, because this is an episode focused on physical and mental health. But in order to get it done, I had to bail on my personal training session at the gym. Karis, I'm sorry, I will make it up to you and I'll make it up to me. Anyway, the upside is that I am back at it. I'm really happy to get these episodes rolling again, and I hope you're happy to keep listening. I'm Dominic Gerard, and welcome back to Secret Sunshine, a podcast about the folks who make the most of living on the Sunshine Coast. A podcast sponsored by our great friends at Sunday Cider, who you'll hear more from a little later in the show. But first, in this episode...
I'm Gillian. A lot of people call me Jill, but it's with a G. And I own GM Fitness, and I've owned it for 14 years.
You've owned GM Fitness for 14 years.
Pretty close. I've been a trainer for 14, so maybe 13.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I started at Trevor Linden Fitness in Coal Harbor, and then was like, I don't really like working for companies, and I think I want to take all my clients and work for myself. So I started my own business.
It sounds like most of Gillian Morrison's personal training career was spent in other people's home gyms, condo gyms, garage gyms, and outdoors, a space that still means a lot to her. But in January of 2020, GM Fitness leased its first commercial space. Back then it was off the highway and more or less across the street from where Dave Coyle's used to be. Then a couple of years later, she moved to Venture Way next to the Prancing Pony, just around the corner from the recycling depot. It's a space she co-leases with Lily Riggs, her informal business partner. GM Fitness is pretty straightforward. It's a big, mostly white rectangle of a room. There's weight gear and racks in a corner. There's a mirror on one wall. There's various balls of the exercise variety tucked in most corners. It's unfussy. It's undaunting. It's unconditionally chill. It feels like a space I'm allowed to be in. What I mean by that is that this is a gym made both for people who know how to gym and people like me who've never really gymmed before. On the wall, in big black block letters, it says, "Building a strong community." I hadn't thought to define a workout space like that before. I wondered why Gillian had.
I moved here when I was pregnant with my second kid, and I wanted to raise a family in a smaller town. I wanted to be able to afford to buy a house, and that wasn't going to happen in Vancouver. And then was like, well, for 40 minutes on the ferry, we could go to Gibson's. And you know what? It's funny because I didn't even really look at that many gyms over here. I was just like, I love this town. It's beautiful. I had a feeling that there would be gyms or I'd work at the rec center or something. And then after a year of doing that, I was like, okay, I need to open a gym.
So you've been at this for about 14 years. But let's
I feel old.
preach, girl. But before getting into training, before owning a gym, what role did fitness play in your own life?
I was actually asking my parents that last night because I had a feeling you might ask that question. And I'm like, what age did I start going to the gym? And they were like, probably 13, 14. I had I'm from Campbell River, so membership at Lady Fitness in Campbell River. And I loved lifting weights. I loved it. It's like my therapy, and it still is now. Like, put on some gangster rap and lift some heavy shit. And that's what I wanted to do. But I also loved running, loved sports, played all of the sports. People kind of knew me growing up as a tomboy. I was always outside.
For you, was there something about exercising that you needed? Were you just curious about it, or you needed a place to let something out? Or...
I think it's a good, and I see this with a lot of clients, like it's a good outlet, and like mentally and physically. I was always kind of a busybody, but I think I was good at it. Then I think I realized that I was strong, and I've always been strong. Like, I was one of the strongest soccer players on the field. Not very many people could push me off the ball. Yeah. And I encourage, like, we have a lot more younger athletes in here now, and I'm like, hit weights, get strong.
You know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Passionate about it.
How deep into soccer did you get when you were a teen?
Well, I played rep soccer. I played high school soccer. Then I played at university, was the captain of my university team. Had a couple knee injuries.
Yeah. How did that happen?
My first knee injury was grade 11, and I felt like my knee did a 360 when I went in for a 50-50 challenge. It hurt.
I would think.
And I had a knee brace for a while, and I got to play against Christine Sinclair. That was pretty cool.
Oh.
I was in grade 10. We played in high school against each other. And she was stronger than me. I will say that she was the one person that could get the ball off of me.
So you injured your knee a couple times.
Yeah.
But you were always doing something. You always some sort of gym thing in your life then.
Yeah, and I always will.
Do you feel gross if you're not exercising?
I've been careful because, I've seen people, it can be a slippery slope where it's like an addiction, and I try to have a good balance. Like, I went to Mexico for a week and I worked out twice. But yeah, if I'm like literally sitting in a pool lounger for a week and didn't go for even a walk, I would feel gross. And your body just feels stiff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there margaritas involved in the working out, or you just take a pause there for a second?
I go to the gym usually in the morning, and yeah, I definitely had some margaritas.
Right.
And I've had a good balance of that, I will say.
Yeah.
I will still have a beer or some nachos, and yeah.
You're trying to be normal but healthy, it sounds like.
I try to be normal. They're like, no, you worked out. What did Lily say when we were doing our New Year's resolution? She's like, I hate New Year's resolutions. Just work out every single week of every single year. And I'm like, okay. So that's going to be our motto next year for New Year's resolution.
Every week, every year? That's not bad. That seems achievable.
Yeah. We're going to think of something funny saying with it. But
right. So you were exercising and playing soccer even through university. You were studying criminology in university.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting because I never thought I was going to be a personal trainer.
Yeah. I
actually was going to be a police officer.
Why did you want to be a cop?
I felt like I was going to be good at it. I feel like I'm a rule follower. I felt like I was strong, capable. I liked that there was a full pension after 20 years. Right. Some of it, I think, also excited me, like the training part of it, which was a lot of fitness, shooting, the driving training, making a difference, giving back to the community. I was young too, though. I feel like now I'm like, I have zero desire to want to do that.
Life is a journey, right?
Yeah, it is. But I was really gung-ho about it from like 16 to 22. Like I remember standing on stage when I graduated and I was like, I'm going to be a police officer.
But the idea of serving the community in that way, why was that appealing to you?
I've definitely always had this feeling of wanting to help and give back. And it was one of the ways I felt like it was one of my strengths that I could.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also enjoy it.
But do you wonder where that comes from for you? Like, is that something that your family has instilled on you? Is it just...
I'm sure a lot of it has come from my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty amazing people.
Are they?
Yeah. I know you're listening.
They better be.
They are.
And like, follow, and rate and review, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've been very supportive.
Yeah. But you were literally on the path to becoming a Vancouver police officer, right? You had applied to the college, I think.
I did all the paperwork. Yeah. I did 2.5 years of work experience with community policing in the West End in Vancouver.
Deep into it.
Yeah. And then blew out my knee
what happened?
3 weeks before my physical. I was running the seawall. I was going to the gym like 3 times a week. And I mean, the seawall's busy in Vancouver, just the way I was running. And I turned this corner and my knee just went right out. Same injury from soccer. And my MCL just wasn't strong enough.
Wow.
And, saw like the highest level of sports medicine at UBC physio. And he's like, do more squats. And I'm like, I'm doing a lot of squats. But then it was, life is so fascinating. But I remember at that moment, obviously being devastated that I felt like I worked so hard to get to this point. And now I'm like, okay, now what? Because they were like, well, reapply in, a year or two when your knee's better. And it's like, and they don't want people coming with, if you've injured your knee 6-7 times, like with knee injuries. And so I wrote down 3 things that I was passionate about, that I was like, I'm just going to do this for fun for the next year or 2. So I wrote down fitness, do my personal training course. I wrote down wine, do my sommelier course, and then photography.
Huh.
Yeah. So those were my 3 interests at that time. And luckily I chose personal training.
Talking to me the way you are talking now, it sounds like you're pretty good at managing setbacks. Is that true?
Yeah, I would say I've been through a lot. I feel like I'm feeling good with all of the setbacks I've had. Throw them at me.
Bring it on.
Yeah. I need a little breather right now, but yeah, in next year I'll be ready for throw it at me. But yeah, the personal, I don't know if you want me to keep going with that, but I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I loved the course. I loved working with people. It didn't even feel like a job. And then at that time it was like, my husband was like, I don't, like, we might want to have kids soon. Like, are you sure if you reapply, and then you get in and then you have the training and then you're going to be doing that for like 2 years, right? Or we could have kids now, and personal training is a great career for that. And it was. And I don't have any regrets.
How quickly did you realize that, like, you know what, this isn't just for fun. Actually, this can be a long-term career.
Well, I think I was like, wow, I can get paid decent money to do this. And I mean, at that time I was like even working out more because I was running boot camps like outside in English Bay. And I was like just crazy that I got to get paid teaching people what I love doing. And I mean, I still feel like that. There's times where I'm like, I feel like I would, even if I didn't need the money, I think I would still train some of my clients for free.
Should I cut that out?
No.
All right.
I'm saying it now. They're like, okay, if Jill wins the lottery next week and she pieces out. I wouldn't work full time.
Right.
But I would say a few when I was in town, when I wasn't traveling and I was back. Yeah. And I mean, you build deep friendships too.
Yeah, I've noticed that. Your work has bled into your personal relationships on the coast very organically.
Yeah, it
has. Is that surprising, or is that almost expected given what you know about the community that you've worked in?
I don't think it's natural for everyone, but for me, I find it easy to connect with people. And when you're working every single week with somebody, and it can be from like once to 3 or 4 times a week, and you've been doing that for 6 or 7 years, you get to know somebody pretty well.
Yeah.
Like I see them more than I see my friends.
So what are you going to do?
And then I'm like, oh, I actually kind of like my clients better than my friends. So I guess I should hang out with my clients.
It probably doesn't help that some of your events include a beer or a glass of wine. So it is, by definition, a bit of a social engagement.
And then you attract like-minded people that want to do the same thing.
Yeah. Building a gym, though, that woke up like a little entrepreneurial spirit in you. Did that surprise you?
I don't know. I think I've maybe always had the determination and kind of always thinking a bit outside the box. I always just kind of felt like a lot of my work wasn't rewarded. So I'm like, well, I might as well work for myself. Because, yeah, I mean, being an entrepreneur, there's a lot of extra work, but it's rewarding.
The work is the reward.
Yeah. You know what you're working towards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are you working towards?
Oh, there's a couple things. I would say more time freedom. I would say my vision is building a team, also realizing I can't do all of this on my own. I mean, I've reached burnout a couple times. The ultimate vision is to move, people are going to be like, oh my gosh, this is exciting, is to move this to a barn gym. Like I want to have my own property and have like a bigger community space. So like a community fire pit, our own sauna, outdoor shower, maybe even some retreat feel, like add some yurts. We'll see, but I definitely want a sauna. So working less and in a sauna more. Is that a good vision?
I think that's an ideal vision, really.
Okay, cool. You will definitely be in the sauna.
I will definitely be in the sauna.
Our next podcast is in the sauna.
Yeah. We're going through equipment like crazy, but man, the tape is good. When I last popped in on Clinton McDougall to see what kind of goals he was reaching for at Sunday Cider, it was raining pretty hard. What you working on this beautiful rainy day?
Racking a tank of cider.
What does racking a tank of cider mean?
So we don't filter any of our ciders. We just let it naturally settle out. So as it sits there over time, it slowly collects on the bottom. And every once in a while, we got to like take it from one tank to the other and see how much is on the bottom.
That juice isn't the only thing that feels natural and unfiltered at Sunday Cider. Clinton wears his heart on his sleeve and his imagination is always on full display here. And now there's more reason to swing by than ever and see that imagination and that heart at play. Because Sunday Cider is also building community.
Our mission at Sunday Cider, literally written down on a piece of paper, is to connect people through fine and far out cider. And we've got this little cedar shack cider house in the forest on the Sunshine Coast. And when people come here, they kind of get it as to what's going on here and what we're trying to do. Kind of like the ethos behind it is just connecting with our community and doing that in a natural place with natural drinks that we're naturally fermenting right here on site.
Well, to pick up on that, like how else are you building community on this site?
Great question, Tom.
Not leading you at all.
You're a professional. So we got this shipping container kitchen last year, and we have some young chefs bringing food and engaging with the farms on the Sunshine Coast. We also have Sea Monkey Coffee here, who set up a plant-based coffee kiosk with breakfast food. And we're building right now to host different programming over the summer, whether it's musicians or fermenters or chefs or coffee geeks or pop-up markets. We're really trying to bring different communities together.
Why is that fun for you?
At the end of the day, Dom, it's about human beings. And we just wanted to create a place that you could connect, find some joy, have a good cider, have a good bite, take a breath of fresh air, and hang out with other good humans.
Clinton McDougall is a good human who makes great cider. Just remember to always drink responsibly, regardless of what day of the week. Because as they like to say, Sunday cider is also good on Saturdays.
Yeah, you said our tagline, Sunday cider, great on Saturdays. And Sunday cider is good on any day of the week, but you don't necessarily need to drink it 7 days a week. So we have been making this organic, non-alcoholic, soft ciders, these apple sodas. And that's a really great way for people who don't drink or people who just don't want a drink that day, or whether it's for kids to come and connect with what we're doing here.
Thanks to Sunday Cider for sponsoring this episode of Secret Sunshine. Find them and Anam Kitchen and Sea Monkey Coffee right off the main highway. Just look for a Big Apple. You mentioned you've experienced burnout a couple times.
Yeah, I have.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. I would say one was like more physically burnout, like training too many clients. And I mean, I went through a divorce 5.5 years ago, and I was kind of like, holy crap, I need to financially support myself and my children, and got a lot of clients fast.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, I was working like 33 clients a week.
What does that look like? That's at least an hour per client, right? At the very least.
Yeah. And that's like when people say, well, I work 40 hours a week. I'm like, it's different when you're actually physically with the client. And then you also have your notes. And like on the days I didn't have my kids, I was doing like 10 a day. And then I think at one point I was teaching 8 classes a week on top of that.
Wow.
So you're not your best self.
Yeah. How long did you try to sustain that for?
Ooh, maybe a year and a half.
That's long.
Yeah. And I was working 6 days a week. So I always worked Saturdays. I did still love it. But yeah, when I look back, I was definitely in fight or flight mode and was like, holy crap, I got to hustle.
But a year and a half of kind of fight or flight, like you put it.
Yeah.
You still enjoyed it, but earlier you talked about how like it didn't feel like work. It must have gotten to a point
where...
where...
it was starting to feel like work then. I wish I could have just been like, you know what? I'm taking 3 weeks off, but financially I just couldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm almost to the point where I can, but like, yeah, I mean, we came to this gym and I remember I didn't have a physical burnout, but I was mentally burnt out. Opening this gym was a lot of work and it takes time. You have to have a lot of patience when you're building, and it took 2 years and 4 months to get back to what I was making before.
Well,
but it's worth it.
One thing I found interesting when I got here for the first time is it says building a strong community on the wall behind you.
Mm-hmm.
And as someone who's not really used to fitness and not used to personal training of any kind, the word community never occurred to me. It feels like it's what's called personal training. Right?
Yeah.
It's you and a trainer working on your own goals.
Yeah. Why
is building a strong community a statement that you felt needed to go on the wall of your business, of your gym?
Mm-hmm. It's just recently gone on, and I feel like my old quotation was making fitness fun, which it still is. I love making it fun. But building a strong community, I felt was deeper, and I think in both ways, like mentally and physically. So like community as a whole. So Gibson's, Roberts Creek, we have people come from Seashell here, building up this whole community physically and mentally stronger, right? So I can't emphasize how much exercise can help you and change your life. Yeah, we're very community focused and lifting each other up. And, if you want to come out and do your workout and not talk to anyone, that's totally fine. But like, if you want to come in here and feel like you really belong, and I want that feeling for people. And a lot of people have told me that like they've never really felt a community in a gym before, and how it feels like a community.
It just seems to me like it's a revolutionary idea for a gym. I'm very naive at this stuff, but
I think CrossFit has community.
True.
And I know that's one of their values. I mean, the gyms I worked at in Vancouver had a bit of a community, but nothing like this. I think it's easier in a smaller town. But yeah, it just feels important to me. And I love connecting people.
I wonder if there's a tension between wanting to serve the community, but also setting boundaries for yourself.
I'm curious about, what other entrepreneurs would say about this. I think it's always a fine line. There's going to be times where I can be super disciplined, but then there's going to be times where, 5 people call in sick or just on the weekend, my cleaner was sick and I'm like, guess who's here cleaning the gym. But yes, I'm getting better with boundaries. And like I told you earlier, and I was laughing about, I had to cover a class Tuesday and I'm like, okay, I'm hiring another trainer because
That's it.
I had to cover a class.
You know when you know, apparently.
But yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest things I've learned about being an entrepreneur is riding the wave.
Yeah.
And when it's really good, enjoy it because it's not going to stay good forever either. And you're like, whoa, we're doing so awesome and this is great. And then I'm like, okay, it's going to come down. And then something happens and then you're like really low. And I'm like, it's okay. Just ride the wave. I've had to tell myself that a lot.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That pride never goes away.
No. And well, I think just in life in general.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a woman-owned gym. It's a woman-led gym. I haven't seen a single male trainer here. Maybe they exist and I haven't seen them. How deliberate is that? And why is that fun for you? What do you like about that?
That's funny because we had a guy in here the other day and he said, so do you have to be a woman to work here? And it was like a lot of women in here. And we were all like, yeah. And no. No, you don't have to be. And I've even kind of said that even a long time ago as members come in. Like people are like, is this a woman only gym? And I'm like, no. And we have a lot of male clients now, which is really cool. But I just want to attract the right kind of people.
What's the right kind of people?
From the male perspective, I was thinking I don't want guys coming in and taking their shirts off and trying to pick chicks up. And I'm so adamant about people feeling comfortable here.
Yeah.
And yeah, but you know what? Has not been an issue. And we have so many great guys here. Yeah. But I have not hired one yet. And I do love that it is female owned and operated. And we have 6 female trainers.
I think it's a good vibe. I was just curious if it was a very deliberate choice or if it's just how it's evolved.
No, I don't think it's a deliberate choice, but maybe like underneath it is. I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe I should have been more prepared for that answer.
I just wonder if like you've kind of become a cop just in a different way.
Just power tripping.
Just straight up power tripping, pushing people to.
I know one of my clients said to my daughter, she was here, and he's like, "Is she always this bossy?" And my daughter's like, "Yeah." He's like, "She just tells me what to do," and I'm like, "Well, that's what you're paying me for."
You've said on your Instagram that this community has had your back when you needed it most.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what you were referring to?
I would say the biggest one was COVID.
Yeah.
So I went through a divorce in November, took out my business loan in December, opened my gym in January, COVID hit in March.
Mm-hmm.
And I panicked. I was like, holy crap. Obviously nobody was expecting that. And like, I just had to close my gym for 2 months and my lease was $2,000 a month plus my business loan. And then a couple of my friends were like, "Okay, well, you got to go online and just start teaching classes online." I'm like, okay. So I like created a Facebook group and money just was pouring in. Like, I think we made $30,000 online in those Facebook groups.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was able to stay open and keep going because it wasn't just 2 months.
It really wasn't.
And then it was like, okay, wear a mask and you can do one-on-one. And then it was like, okay, wear a mask and you can fit 5 people in here at like social distancing. And, but yes, this community definitely had my back during COVID and When we opened here, we did a class sale pass and people were like, yeah, I'm going to buy 3 or 4 passes. And we raised $16,000 off of class passes to help with our renovations of this gym. And I always tell my friend Marina and Sarah, because they bought like 6 passes. I'm like, oh, you paid for my mirror. This is your mirror. So they love that.
Was it overwhelming to see that support come your way?
Yeah, there was times for sure. Oh, yeah.
What did that look like?
I didn't think I would be able to make $30,000 online.
No.
In a Facebook group. But I will say opening a commercial space before building a community, I think I would have been screwed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If I was just like, okay, nobody knows me and I'm just putting GM Fitness on the door and open for classes, I wouldn't have been open. But because I had built those connections and those relationships and the community, we were fine. I still have so much gratitude.
The way Gillian talks about her gym, it makes it feel less like a business and more like a community association. A place where people gather, check in, move their bodies, and look out for one another. And to think it all started because she just needed one night out a week. A beer, a workout, maybe a friend or two. In trying to look after herself, she ended up building a space where other people can do the same. Jill with a G once thought she'd serve her community by wearing a uniform. Now she does it in gym sweats. Turns out you don't need a badge to protect and serve. Sometimes a boot camp and a pint of beer can do the trick. Gym Fitness is on Venture Way, and Gillian and her team of women trainers have both group fitness and personal training classes available. Find out more at gmfitness.ca or grab a link from the show notes. Even more fun, though, is that Gillian's got another beer boot camp session set for May 21st. It's $20 to join, but right now, if you use the promo code Secret Sunshine, it's still $20. It's just that now she'll know you heard the episode. And really, you can't put a price on that. You can e-transfer Gillian directly, find her email on her website, or again, in the show notes. Secret Sunshine is hosted and made by me, Dominic Gerard. The show's music is composed and performed by Max Henry. Find out more about the show, like how to follow it, where to find it, how to email me at secretsunshine.ca. And thanks again for Sunday Cider for being good humans and for sponsoring this episode. If you'd like to sponsor an episode of the show, please shoot me an email. There are some tasty episodes coming out in the weeks ahead, and there's room for you. Head to secretsunshine.ca and click the Sponsor the Show link at the top of the page. Thanks for listening. More Secret Sunshine coming soon.